You're holding a gold coin right now, 1 ounce, worth about $2,800 today, and you're thinking the wrong thing. You're thinking, if society collapses, I'll trade this for food. Wrong. You're thinking, I'll use this at checkpoints for safe passage. Wrong again. You're thinking, this is my apocalypse insurance. You're getting warmer, but you're still missing it. Let me show you what gold actually does when everything falls apart. April 1975. Saigon is hours from falling. The streets are chaos. People are burning documents, abandoning homes, fighting for space on the last helicopters out. But there's a doctor, let's call him Dr. Nguyen, who's not panicking. He's calm, methodical. He's in his living room with a small wooden box. Inside that box are sheets of gold so thin you can see light through them. Kim Ton, the Vietnamese call them, gold leaves. Each sheet weighs less than a playing card, but contains actual 24-karat gold. Dr. Nguyen has 200 of these sheets, his entire life savings, 20 years of saving lives converted into something he can fold into the lining of his jacket. His neighbor runs past his window screaming, dragging a suitcase of cash. South Vietnamese dong, worthless in 48 hours. Another neighbor is trying to carry jewelry, photo albums, family heirlooms. She'll abandon them at the dock when she realizes she can't swim holding a suitcase. But Dr. Nguyen? He's sewing gold into fabric, into the hem of his daughter's dress, into his belt, into the collar of his shirt. Here's what happened next. The ferry to Malaysia costs $10 per person, legitimate, legal. But there are 100,000 people fighting for 2,000 spots. Dr. Nguyen doesn't get on that ferry. The smuggler's boat costs $1,000 per person, cash, not dong, not promises, not jewelry the smuggler can't verify. Gold, verified by weight and bite test on the dock. Dr. Nguyen's family of 4 needs $4,000. He has it sewn into his clothes. They board. The family with the bank account, still in line at a closed bank. The neighbor with the cash, turned away. The woman with the jewelry, negotiating, desperate, trying to convince the smuggler that her grandmother's jade is worth passage. It's not. 1.5 million Vietnamese fled across the South China Sea between 1975 and 1995. The United Nations estimates 400,000 died trying, drowned, starved, killed by pirates. But here's the thing nobody talks about. The ones who made it weren't the strongest swimmers. They were the ones who understood what gold actually does during collapse. It doesn't buy bread, it buys borders. And that distinction is about to save your life or cost you everything. Because what I'm about to show you isn't theory. It's a documented pattern that's repeated in every major economic collapse, every refugee crisis, every time a country implodes. And right now, in 2026, the exact same conditions are forming. You just don't see it yet. Here's what they don't tell you about gold. It's not a collapse currency. It's an escape currency. Let me prove it. Syria, 2015. Aleppo is being bombed into dust. You're a middle-class family. Father's an engineer, mother's a teacher, 2 kids. You have savings, you have a house, you have a car. You have everything except time. The borders are closing. Turkey is building walls. Europe is implementing quotas. You have maybe 6 weeks before your window shuts forever. The UN refugee route? Free. But the wait list is 18 months long and you'll be processed in a camp with 80,000 other people fighting for 3,000 resettlement spots. Your kids will grow up in a tent, if you're lucky. The smuggler route to Turkey, then Greece, then Germany? 12,000 euros per person. 48,000 euros for your family. Cash, euros, or gold. Nothing else. Your house is worth 200,000 Syrian pounds on paper. But nobody's buying houses in a war zone. Your car? Maybe 30,000 pounds if you can find a buyer before the next barrel bomb drops. Your bank account? The bank is closed. The ATM withdrawal limit is $50 per day. You need 48,000 euros and you have 6 weeks. But there's a man in your neighborhood. He runs a small jewelry shop. Before the war, he did good business. Now, he's doing different business. He's buying gold, paying in euros, cash, today. Your wife has a gold necklace, 50 grand. Her mother gave it to her on their wedding day. It's worth maybe 3,000 euros. The jeweler offers 2,400 euros. It's a 20% loss. She cries when she hands it over, but you have 2,400 euros cash in your hand within 10 minutes. Your father's gold watch, 40 grams, another 1,900 euros. Your mother's gold bangles from India, 80 grams, 3,800 euros. Every family member contributes. Every gold item accumulated over generations gets converted in backroom deals, under the table, no paperwork, no questions. Within 3 weeks, you've scraped together 48,000 euros. Not from your house, not from your car, not from your bank account, from gold that your family has been unconsciously accumulating for 40 years. You pay the smuggler, you get on the boat, your family makes it to Germany. Your neighbor, the one with twice your net worth, all in real estate and bank accounts, is still in Aleppo, still waiting for the banks to reopen, still trying to sell his house, still stuck. Here's the pattern. In stable times, gold is boring. It doesn't pay dividends. It doesn't generate rent. It just sits there, looking pretty. Financial advisors tell you it's a bad investment. Put your money in stocks, in real estate, in bonds, in things that grow. And they're right, in stable times. But there's a moment, a very specific moment in every collapse when the rules flip, when your house becomes a liability, when your bank account becomes inaccessible, when your stocks become worthless numbers on a screen nobody's looking at. That moment is when you need to move, fast, across borders, with your wealth intact. And gold is the only thing recognized everywhere, by everyone, instantly. The Syrian jeweler who bought your necklace isn't keeping it. He's selling it to a Turkish dealer, who's selling it to a European refiner, who's melting it down and selling it to a bank. It's a chain of liquidity that exists in war zones, in collapsed states, in places where every other financial system has failed. But here's where it gets really interesting, because Syria isn't unique. Vietnam isn't unique. Every refugee crisis follows the exact same pattern. And right now, in 2026, there are 110 million displaced people worldwide, more than any time in recorded history. They all faced the same decision Dr. Nguyen faced. They all learned the same lesson. The ones who survived, they weren't the richest. They were the ones who understood the difference between wealth and liquidity when borders are closing.
Let me show you the math that nobody wants you to see. Lebanon, 2019. You're a cardiologist. You make $6,000 a month. You're rich by Lebanese standards. You have $180,000 in your bank account at Bank Udi. You have a nice apartment in Beirut. You have a German car. You're comfortable. Then October 2019 hits. The currency starts sliding. The government imposes capital controls. Your $180,000 is trapped. You can withdraw $200 per week. That's it. You do the math. $200 per week, that's $10,400 per year. At that rate, it'll take you 17 years to access your own money. But it gets worse. The Lebanese pound is collapsing. When you deposited that money, $1 bought 1,500 pounds. Now, $1 buys 90,000 pounds. Your $180,000 just became $3,000 in real purchasing power in 18 months. You're a cardiologist. You save lives, and you just lost 17 years of savings because you trusted a bank. But your colleague, Dr. Fadi, he's different. Everyone thought he was paranoid. Back in 2017, when things were stable, he started converting every bonus, every extra cash, into gold sovereigns, British gold coins, 1 ounce each. He bought 60 of them over 3 years. His wife thought he was crazy. Gold doesn't pay interest, she said. It just sits there. He bought them at $1,300 per ounce, $78,000 total. His friends laughed. Put it in a money market fund. You'll get 5% interest. That's $4,000 per year you're losing. October 2019, the capital controls hit. Dr. Fadi walks into a gold dealer in Beirut. Private dealer, no banks involved. He sells 20 gold coins. Gold is now $1,900 per ounce. He gets $38,000 cash, US dollars, physical bills, in his hand that day. He uses that money to buy plane tickets. He moves his family to Dubai. He gets a job at a private hospital. He starts over. His $78,000 in gold became his escape hatch. While his colleagues with 10 times his net worth were trapped, he moved freely. But here's the part that keeps me up at night. Dr. Fadi's story isn't exceptional. It's the standard playbook, and it's playing out right now in real time. Venezuela, 2024, still ongoing. Doctors are leaving with gold. Teachers are leaving with gold. Engineers are leaving with gold. They're not trading it for bread in Caracas. They're carrying it to Colombia, to Peru, to Chile, to wherever they can start over. One Venezuelan engineer told his story online. He had 10 ounces of gold hidden in his apartment, each ounce worth about $2,000, $20,000 total. He sewed them into the lining of a backpack. He walked across the border into Colombia. He went to a gold dealer in Bogotá. Within 2 hours, he had $19,000 in cash. That $19,000 became first month's rent, security deposit, work permits, enough runway to find a job. Within 6 months, he was employed, earning Colombian pesos and rebuilding. His neighbor, with $50,000 in a Venezuelan bank account, still there, still trapped, still watching his savings evaporate. This is the pattern, the exact same pattern in Vietnam, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Venezuela. Gold doesn't help you during the collapse, it helps you escape the collapse. But now I need to tell you something uncomfortable, something the precious metals dealers don't mention, something that could get you killed if you don't understand it. Because gold has a dark side, and in the next part, I'm going to show you the people who carried gold and never made it to their destination. The ones who thought they were prepared but made one critical mistake, the mistake that turned their escape currency into a death sentence. And it's a mistake most people preparing right now are about to make. June 1940. A Jewish family is fleeing Paris ahead of the Nazi advance. The father is a jeweler, smart man. He's been preparing. He has 80 gold coins sewn into a money belt around his waist, 80 ounces. At 1940 prices, that's about $2,800, equivalent to $60,000 today. They're on the road south to Spain, thousands of refugees clogging the roads, and they get stopped at a checkpoint, not an official checkpoint, an improvised one. 3 men with rifles, desperate men, opportunistic men. They're searching everyone, looking for valuables. The father stays calm. He has a few francs in his pocket, some jewelry in his wife's purse that looks expensive but isn't. He hands it over. The men seem satisfied. Then one of them notices. The father is sweating, not from heat, from the weight of the belt, from the pressure of 80 ounces of gold pressing against his skin in June. They search him. They find the belt. They take it. Then they shoot him, because dead men don't report robberies. The family loses everything. The father, the gold, the escape plan. This story repeated thousands of times across Europe, across Vietnam, across Syria, across every refugee route in history. The pattern is always the same. Visible wealth is dangerous wealth. Here's what the survival literature never tells you. Gold attracts predators. In stable societies, we have laws, police, courts, systems that protect property. But during collapse, those systems vanish, and carrying gold becomes a liability. The Vietnamese boat people figured this out. That's why they developed Kim Tan, gold beaten so thin you can fold it into fabric, sewn into clothing, hidden in plain sight. A refugee wearing rags might be carrying $10,000 in gold, and you'd never know. But even they weren't immune. Pirates operated in the South China Sea specifically targeting refugee boats. They knew these boats carried gold. They'd board, they'd strip everyone, they'd search cavities, they'd rip open clothing seams. Thousands died not from drowning, but from gold theft turned violent. The UNHCR documented this extensively. Entire boats massacred, women assaulted, children killed, all for gold that was supposed to be their salvation. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Gold is powerful, but it's not magical. It only works if you understand 3 critical rules that most people miss. Rule 1. Concealment is survival. If anyone knows you have gold, you're a target. That means no bragging, no showing, no telling friends, neighbors, or family members who aren't fleeing with you. The Vietnamese who survived never told anyone on the boat they were carrying gold. They dressed poor, they acted poor, they hid in plain sight. Rule 2. Timing is everything. Convert too early and you lose value. Convert too late and you can't convert at all. There's a window, usually 6 to 18 months before total collapse, when gold dealers are still operating, when borders are still semi-open, when you can still move. Miss that window and your gold becomes a paperweight. Syrian refugees who left in 2012 got good value for their gold and had options for routes. Those who waited until 2015 got terrible value and faced closed borders. Those who waited until 2017 couldn't leave at all. Rule 3. Gold is not the destination, it's the bridge. The Vietnamese didn't carry gold to stay wealthy in Malaysia. They carried it to establish themselves, to pay for that first month's rent, to buy time while they found work. Within a year, most had spent or sold their gold. But that year was enough. They rebuilt. The ones who tried to hoard it, they became targets. Robbery, extortion, violence. Gold in a refugee camp is like blood in shark-infested water. But here's where this gets personal. Because right now, in 2026, we're watching the same patterns form. We just don't recognize them yet. The US dollar has been the global reserve currency since 1944, 82 years. That's 3 times longer than the average fiat currency lifespan. The national debt is $36 trillion and climbing. BRICS nations are building alternative payment systems. China and Saudi Arabia are discussing oil trades in yuan. I'm not saying collapse is imminent. I'm saying the conditions are forming. And if you study history, you know what comes next. The wealthy aren't waiting. Chinese billionaires have been buying gold in Singapore and storing it in Swiss vaults. Russian oligarchs moved gold to Dubai and London before sanctions hit. Middle Eastern royalty has gold stored across 3 continents. They're not buying gold to trade for bread. They're buying mobility, insurance, the ability to start over anywhere if their home country becomes unlivable. But here's the twist nobody's talking about. There's something else, something that might be even more powerful than gold, something the Vietnamese didn't have, something the Syrians barely had, something that's only existed for 15 years but is already changing the entire escape playbook.
A Ukrainian developer is sitting in his Kyiv apartment. It's February 23rd. The Russian military is massing on the border. Everyone says it's just posturing. Everyone says Putin won't actually invade. He's not so sure. He opens his laptop. He has $47,000 in his bank account. He has an apartment worth maybe $80,000. He has a car. Normal middle-class life. But he's been watching the news differently than his neighbors. He's been studying patterns. He does something that will save his life. He converts $40,000 into Bitcoin, sends it to a hardware wallet, writes down the 12-word recovery phrase, memorizes it, destroys the paper. His friends think he's paranoid. You just lost money on fees, they say. Bitcoin is down 40% from its peak. Terrible timing. February 24th, Russia invades. Within 48 hours, the banks freeze. ATMs run out of cash. The hryvnia collapses. People are lined up for blocks trying to withdraw money that isn't there. The daily limit drops to $30, then $20, then nothing. His neighbor has $100,000 in his account, trapped, worthless. He's standing in line at a bank that will never reopen, watching his life savings evaporate in real time. The developer? He packs a backpack, laptop, clothes, documents. No gold, no cash, nothing physical except that hardware wallet the size of a USB drive. And even that isn't necessary. Those 12 words in your head are enough. He drives west. Border crossings are chaos. 10-hour waits, 20-hour waits. Guards are searching cars, confiscating cash over certain limits, confiscating valuables. Desperate government trying to stop capital flight. They search his car, find his laptop, find nothing suspicious, wave him through. He crosses into Poland, drives to Warsaw, checks into a hotel, opens his laptop. His Bitcoin wallet is exactly where he left it, $40,000, untouched, unconfiscatable, uninflated. He finds a Bitcoin ATM, converts $5,000 to Polish zloty, cash in hand within 15 minutes. No dealer, no negotiation, no suspicious backroom transaction, just a machine that reads his QR code and dispenses currency. That $5,000 becomes his runway, rent, food, time to find remote work. Within a month, he's employed again. Within 3 months, he's helping other refugees do the same thing. His neighbor with $100,000 in the bank? Still in Ukraine, still trying to access frozen funds, still stuck. This is the new pattern, and it's making the old rules obsolete. Because here's what gold can't do. You can't memorize gold. You can't email gold. You can't split a gold coin into $47 and $53 for exact payment. You can't cross a checkpoint with $50,000 in gold without risk. You can't access gold from any computer in the world. But Bitcoin, those 12 words in your head are enough. No metal detector finds them. No checkpoint confiscates them. No pirate steals them. You can cross borders naked and still have your wealth intact. The Venezuelan refugees figured this out in 2019. The ones who made it to Colombia or Peru weren't just carrying gold anymore. They were carrying crypto on phones, on hardware wallets. Some just memorized seed phrases. They'd arrive with nothing visible, and within hours, they'd convert to local currency and start rebuilding. Afghanistan, 2021. When Kabul fell, the people who escaped fastest weren't carrying suitcases of gold. They were carrying phones with wallet apps. Some carried nothing but memory. Women especially. The Taliban searched everything, but they couldn't search thoughts. One Afghan woman made it to Germany with 15 Bitcoin, not in her pocket, in her mind. She'd memorized the seed phrase months earlier when she saw the writing on the wall. She walked through Taliban checkpoints, through Pakistani borders, through European immigration with $600,000 in her head. Try doing that with gold. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Bitcoin is only 15 years old. Gold has 5,000 years of proven history. Gold is recognized by every human on Earth. Bitcoin? Your grandmother doesn't understand it. The Syrian jeweler doesn't accept it. The Vietnamese gold dealer in 1975 had never heard of it because it didn't exist. So what's the answer? What do you actually do with this information? Here's what the smart money is doing right now. They're holding both. Gold for proven, tested, universally recognized value transfer. Bitcoin for speed, portability, and unconfiscatable storage. They're not choosing, they're diversifying across escape currencies. The Lebanese doctor who got out early, he had gold coins and Bitcoin. The Syrian engineer who made it to Turkey, gold jewelry and crypto on a phone. The Ukrainian developer, Bitcoin first, but he bought gold once he was safe in Poland. Because here's the final truth that nobody wants to say out loud. The question isn't if you'll need an escape plan. History says every empire falls, every currency fails, every stable country eventually isn't. The question is, when your country's turn comes, will you be holding paper promises or portable wealth? Will you be the family with the bank account standing in line at a closed bank? Or will you be Dr. Nguyen, calmly boarding the boat with your life savings sewn into your collar? Will you be the Syrian father with $200,000 in real estate he can't sell? Or will you be the engineer with gold in his backpack walking across borders? Will you be the Ukrainian neighbor with frozen funds? Or will you be the developer with 12 words in his head and a new life in Warsaw? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking, and history doesn't wait for people who think it can't happen here. Because everyone thinks that, right up until it does.